Welcome to Josh's Severe Weather. We've got ourselves a major storm with significant tornadoes possible across parts of the southern United States over the next 48 hours. Let me share my screen with you and we'll talk about the now moderate risk for tornadoes across parts of the lower Mississippi Valley, the Delta region here tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. A very dangerous setup here with some potentially high-end tornadoes expected, especially in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, but many other states are going to be impacted by this major storm. Currently, we have the threat for significant flooding stretching from central Oklahoma all the way up the Ohio River into parts of northern West Virginia and southern Ohio. And some areas in here, especially Indiana, Illinois, and maybe northern Kentucky, could see some historic flooding depending on how the area of rain sets up. We have a wintry side of the storm as well, with winter weather advisories from parts of Nebraska into northwestern Iowa, as well as stretching across parts of Canada into northern Maine, and some winter weather as well continuing in parts of the west that have been battered by significant snow throughout the winter. Now, today and especially tonight, we do have from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, a slight risk for severe weather, which includes some tornadoes, but potentially some big hail as well. That stretches from west central Texas and the Big Sky country northward into Oklahoma and northwestern Arkansas. Outside of that, a marginal risk for severe weather all the way into southern parts of Indiana. So areas that are going to get hit hard with heavy rain will also have potential severe weather, especially tonight. That includes Norman, Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Joplin, Missouri, and St. Louis, Missouri as well. This is the start of what's going to be a major outbreak starting tomorrow, especially in the afternoon, where the Storm Prediction Center has us in a moderate risk, 4 out of 5, for scattered damaging winds over 70 miles per hour, several hail reports, and more concerning, the threat for several long track tornadoes, which could be higher end, EF3 and above. And that area is kind of centered right here over northeastern Louisiana and southeast Arkansas and western Mississippi. Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Jackson, Mississippi, Paducah, Kentucky is in this risk for enhanced severe weather, Shreveport, Louisiana, and Memphis, Tennessee. So many people are in the danger zone here tomorrow, especially towards the evening hours. Today, we do have 10 million people or so in a slight risk and 11 million in a marginal risk. And it kind of gets right into the Metroplex. Fort Worth in the slight risk. Dallas is going to be kind of in the marginal risk. So nothing like last week, but we do have a 2% chance of a tornado somewhere within this region here from Texas into downstate Illinois, and a bigger area of severe wind potential, and maybe some major hail in parts of north central and northwest Texas into central Oklahoma tonight. So that is the area of great concern as we get later into the night tonight. Now, tomorrow, you can see the area continues to grow. We do have a hatched area of significant tornado potential, which includes almost 6 million people. Memphis, Shreveport, Little Rock, Jackson, Mississippi, and Jackson, Tennessee are in that significant severe zone, as there's going to be quite a bit of fast wind aloft, which I'm going to show you in a little bit here, and a large area of damaging winds expected within this as well. Over 3.5 million people could see the kind of wind that's going to cause structural damage and certainly power outages, including Memphis, Little Rock, Jonesboro, and Pine Bluff. And that area is surrounded by a bigger area of a 30% chance of severe wind all the way down into central Louisiana and maybe the Piney Woods region of Texas. We've also got to be concerned about some hail, but I think wind and tornadoes are going to be the bigger threat. Here is a look at the HRRR model across the deep south tomorrow, and you can see we start to see storms rolling into Arkansas in the morning, and then supercell storms likely to fire up here in the afternoon around 5, 6 o'clock over parts of central Louisiana and western and central parts of Arkansas. And then those are going to march eastward as the night progresses with supercells into Mississippi and southwestern Tennessee. I'm going to show you Radar Omega. This is actually kind of a neat app that I found here recently. And putting the forecast into motion here, and we can see heavy areas of rain throughout the day today. And then tonight, this is right around midnight, we see the potential for a few supercells down here in west central Texas, and then a large area of heavy rain and thunderstorms with embedded severe weather possible here across parts of Oklahoma and into northwest Arkansas. And that continues on towards Dallas-Fort Worth here, right around 5 in the morning, Central Time, 6, 7 in the morning. So right as people are going to work tomorrow morning, the threat for severe weather in the Metroplex into parts of Little Rock and southeastern Oklahoma, and it will be storming and raining heavily all the way into West Virginia, Western Maryland, and southwestern Pennsylvania. As we roll this area forward, tomorrow we see just constant bands of heavy rain in here, inundating the area with potential flooding, especially north of Nashville and across Kentucky. If you're traveling to Louisville, I know there are Sweet 16 games here tomorrow evening. They're going to get impacted by severe weather and flooding. People may be in a really nasty spot trying to drive into those basketball games. I know many of you aren't sports fans, but I know a lot of people are heading to Louisville, so I wanted to bring that up as it will be a concern of mine. As we get into the day tomorrow, we start to see storms firing in the warm sector and potentially rotating supercells here. And let me go ahead and put on the moderate risk area so you guys can see that. Let's see here. I'm still learning this. All right, so severe weather. And day 2. There we go. And you can see that we've got this moderate risk area in here and a pretty large area that's even in an enhanced risk all the way towards Tuscaloosa, slight risk getting close to Louisville. As we set this in motion, you can see major storms marching right through Arkansas, downstate parts of Illinois and southeastern Missouri, western Tennessee. This is right here at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And we could have some strong tornadoes on the ground, especially in this zone in here. And we'll keep things going. Whoops. All right, so we don't go beyond then, but that's okay. We'll continue to bring that up and show you guys what's going on. Now, it's not just going to be severe weather and flooding. We are going to see a wintry side of this storm here tomorrow night, beginning around the Chicagoland area late tomorrow night and spreading up into Wisconsin and Michigan. So while we have damaging storms down here across Kentucky and Tennessee, we will have mixed precipitation and some snow getting going here in northern Illinois. And I'm going to zoom out and then show you kind of how that evolves. Here's our rain area, kind of wave 1 moves through eastern Canada and New England today and tonight. Wave 2 comes up and meets the colder air in the Chicagoland area and downstate Illinois, Wisconsin, as well as into central Michigan, where we could have some frozen precipitation around daybreak on Saturday. So very early Saturday morning, wintry weather starts showing up here as the severe weather is marching east across the Dixie Alley region. And Saturday morning could be snowing pretty heavily on the north side of Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Wisconsin, and then sleet and freezing rain change over to wet snow over upper parts of lower Michigan, so northern Michigan and the eastern UP as well. And that will continue to spread eastward into parts of New England. And I'm going to show you the GFS model so you can see how deep this low pressure system gets here Saturday, bombs out over Lake Huron in the afternoon, and we'll see some wintry weather over New England with frozen precipitation going over to rain in western and central Mass and Boston, heavy snow over parts of Maine, and certainly heavy snow over Quebec into parts of eastern Canada through the second half of the weekend. All right, so I'll show you rainfall totals from the European. You can see how robust the rain looks like it's going to be over the weekend, potentially 4, 5, even 6 inches of rain through this weekend storm, causing significant flood threat over the Ohio River Valley. And then next week, we see another significant storm over parts of the deep south. We could have a second area of flooding over Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. I'm going to get to that more in some later videos. And then the snow forecast from the NAM model, mainly late tomorrow night into Saturday morning, we see the potential for 6 to 10 inches of snow, locally higher amounts stretching from eastern Iowa into northwestern parts of Michigan and across New England and Canada. In centimeters, we see potentially 20 to 30 over parts of eastern Quebec, 15 to 25 over northern New Brunswick, far eastern Nova Scotia. And this is not going to be an Ontario storm primarily. It'll be mainly Quebec on eastward. But a second wave moves in here over the second half of the weekend, and that could double those totals into the 40s in centimeters here by Monday morning. All right, so here's our severe weather. You can see strong winds aloft are moving eastward here. And we really see an increase and a ramp up as the trough swings through Texas here Friday afternoon and into the Mississippi Valley Friday night. Winds pick up out of the southwest at 500 millibars. Towards the ground, they're going to be more southerly, so we're going to have directional wind shear and increasing winds aloft. That provides us with some strong storm relative helicity which is the amount of turning in the atmosphere over Arkansas in the afternoon and then spreading through Louisiana and Mississippi. And we see these numbers picking up here across the Mississippi Delta region, some very intense helicity. And as we pull up the sounding, we can see winds go from south-southeast at the surface to southwest at about 5 to 10,000 feet aloft, providing us with the potential for tornadoes to form here across the Delta region. Definitely something that I am concerned with, and a lot of folks have been talking about over the last few days. And I actually started talking about this over the weekend, this past weekend. So it's been a pretty good signal for severe weather outbreak, but I'm concerned that we could have some life-changing tornadoes somewhere across this region here tomorrow night. Here's the radar from Oklahoma today. Zooming in, you can see most of the weather stays south of Oklahoma City. The Red River is going to be keyed in on intense storms here this evening, and then those will move out tomorrow with a few scattered showers left over. Across Texas, you can see stuff popping up here towards Wichita Falls at 9, 10 o'clock this evening. Could produce hail, and then we have another round that's going to be more robust on the dry line, and that pushes towards Weatherford here around 5 in the morning, Dallas-Fort Worth between 7 and 9, and mainly northeast Texas tomorrow through late morning. And then in the afternoon, more storms fire up around the Sabine River here around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Spreading east into Arkansas, you guys are really going to get a lot of rain, but also multiple waves of severe weather in northern Arkansas today and tonight. Severe weather this time tomorrow morning north of Little Rock towards Jonesboro, but then wave number 2 is going to be quite intense here starting around 5, 6 o'clock and then moving east across eastern Arkansas into the Boot Heel around 7, 8, 9 o'clock and then approaching Memphis, Tennessee as well. Down south, this is where the warm sector is. We're likely to see supercell type storms popping up here around 3, 4, 5 o'clock in central parts of Louisiana, maybe Shreveport earlier in the afternoon, then Monroe, and then spreading eastward towards Jackson in the evening, possibly strong tornadoes in this region. And that threat continues late tomorrow evening east of Jackson towards Meridian and Tuscaloosa, but the area of greatest concern is going to be northern and western Mississippi. And I'm going to pull up a sounding real quick and show you all Jackson, Mississippi, right around 7, 8 o'clock. Whoops, let me go back one for you. And you can see conditions are primed here for some tornadoes. And the reason why is that we've got winds that increase aloft and southerly winds at the surface. We have instability, and as things moisten up north and west of Jackson, we get back towards north of Natchez. We definitely have the moisture in place, a loaded gun satellite sounding here for tornadoes, some of which could end up being strong, EF3 or greater. Farther north and east, we do have severe weather, but I'm also concerned about flash flooding over Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. This is through tonight, and then tomorrow we continue to see rounds of rain as the boundary lifts northward. Here is our area of locally damaging winds, kind of a bow echo showing up over downstate Illinois and spreading back into northwestern Tennessee around 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. This will march east through Louisville right around midnight to 1 in the morning and then into eastern Tennessee and eastern Kentucky overnight. But don't be shocked if you hear tornado sirens in central Kentucky and middle Tennessee tomorrow night under the cover of the darkness. This could certainly be a dangerous setup for you, and a lot of rain and wind coming as well. We see the storms today and tonight, and then lots of lightning tomorrow into tomorrow night spreading eastward. There'll be a lesser threat for severe weather as we get to Saturday, but there could be some thunderstorms around the eastern lakes into western New York and PA, and also locally strong storms, mainly across northern Florida and southeast Georgia Saturday afternoon, but possibly a few heavier storms getting up into the eastern Carolinas before our storm moves out. And another wave comes through here on Sunday. We could see more heavy rain and storms right on the Gulf Coast region over into the eastern Carolinas Sunday evening. And as the storm rolls out, it could come up the coast. We may potentially have something to talk about in the east here around the middle of next week. The ZRZ GFS says yes, but other models do not agree on that. As you can see, the European is going to take it farther off to the south and east. But that GFS is kind of tantalizing for us here Wednesday, as these areas have not seen snow this winter, but the latest run is no longer showing that threat. You can see it's just in the mountains. So something to keep an eye on here. Certainly we'll be watching that more, but let's deal with the storm at hand here first. So if you are in the south or in the Ohio Valley, my thoughts and prayers are with you. I'm asking for mercies for you if you have to travel for the weather to not be as bad as predicted. But if you could like my video, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you're a new visitor, I very much appreciate that. I thank you for your time today. I want to give all the glory to God who allows me to do this every day. Very quick passage, Psalm 18. I love you, Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. And if you are under the gun for severe weather, just remember that you have the choice if you want to put all your faith in God who can protect you and show you his light. And I pray that all of you stay safe. If you have any prayer requests, I'm happy to pray for you. And I appreciate if you could pray over me as well. Thanks for joining me. I know I took a couple days off, had to recharge here and get some personal things taken care of, but another video coming in the morning tomorrow and updates for severe weather as necessary. Thank you all so much for your time. Have a blessed day. See you again tomorrow.